young Jodie's been staying here a couple of days. Oh, that's better. Whew. We have a microphone. I hope it sounds a bit better with a microphone. This one, brothers, and the occasional sister joining us today for another Frosty the Pig Dog story. This story is definitely adults only, R18, so remove any small children from the room now, or use your own discretion. Maybe listen to the story and then decide if your kids watch it. It's an interesting story. It's got a lot of drama in it. I was in my hut down at the river. I met a guy called Mac further down the river, and he said to me, I'm going back to Wellington in a couple of weeks. Here's my telephone number. Give me a ring if you ever get there. Good. Now I met another guy called Brian O'Leary. Brian O'Leary was as nutty as a fruitcake. He was as mad as a piece of string. He thought that he was the Prince of Ireland. He even had a deed, a scroll, with his name on it. Brian O'Leary, Prince of Ireland. And his whole quest in life was to go back to Ireland one day and be the prince. But he didn't have an Irish accent. He had a girlfriend called Sandra and 2 young children. But Brian was real wacky as well. He'd come out with all this crazy shit, man, real weird stuff. And to a 15-year-old kid, it was just like, wow, this guy's mad. This will be fun. I didn't go red lights, keep away from this guy, he's a lunatic. It was like, what mad shit can we get up to? So when he said, hey, I'm taking the Combie up to the North Island, do you want to go? I thought, yeah, good chance. So got hold of me mate Mel and said, hey, can I take Frosty to the North Island? And Mel said, yep, but you make sure you bring him back before the end of summer. Good. So one morning come around, Brian came over with his van. He picked up this woman Sandra and her 2 kids, and Frosty come with us, and off we went to Picton, went across on the ferry. That was all good and well. I got to Wellington, took out a piece of paper out of my pocket. I didn't have much to me. I had a blue rucksack, harmonica, a penny whistle, some fresh undies and socks, a few pennies, not much, and I called up this guy Mac to see if I could hang out with him. He picked up the phone. I told him who I was. He didn't know who I was. I said, you know, the guy that gave you all that bloody mutton down by the river when you had the hungy, the guy that gave those bags of green stuff. Didn't know who I was. It was like, come on, bro. And he didn't know, so I never got to meet up with Mac. So back in the Combie van and further up north. Now, the further we travelled each day, Brian became increasingly weird, saying increasingly weird stuff, and it was weirding me out. And we were going to a place called Tokanui. Now, he had previously been in the mental hospital in Tokanui at some stage, and he had friends around there that he wanted to see. That morning, before we arrived in Tokanui, he said, we're going to go on a fast the next day. And so if you want to get any food today, understand that tomorrow we're not going to be eating anything. So what we're taking now is just to last you for the day. And I thought that was bizarre in itself because we're eating on the road. So that day I made sure I ate lots. The next day we all had to fast. And it was a dumb idea because I was a 15-year-old and he had children that need to eat every like 3 or 4 hours. And his girlfriend, she didn't want to do it, and Brian was obese. So that day we had to all fast, and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon we were in Tokanui. We arrived at a motel and I was hungry and the kids were hungry. I said, Brian, I'm going to buy fish and chips. He said, the fast goes on for 24 hours. And I said, I don't care, I'm hungry. And I went and bought fish and chips. I bought pineapple rings. I bought a hamburger, like with steak in it. I bought fish and scoops of chips and some sauce, and I bought it all back in a big package. And Brian took it off me and he started eating the chips. He was eating the chips, and then I said, Brian, this is for everybody and we're supposed to be fasting. He said to me, I'm eternally grateful for you giving me this food, but the king must eat first. And I said, but hold on a minute. You're not the king, you're the Prince of Ireland. And this is where it gets really weird. He goes, I will be the king one day. And I said, but you're not even the prince yet. And he said, hold your tongue, young man. And I said, but you can't be a king if you're not even a prince, can you? He said, I am a prince, and I will be the king. I said, when will you be the king? He said, when the Queen dies. I said, but is there a Queen of Ireland? We've got our Queen, Queen Elizabeth, but is... And it was getting more confusing, and then suddenly he grabbed me and he started smashing me against the hotel wall. You insolent young man. And as he banged my back against the wall, the motelier heard it, and there was like a on the door. And nobody was answering the door. And then Sandra went over and he said, leave that door alone. He was getting really, really angry. And the kids were starting to cry. It was crazy. And I was like, fuck, he's trying to kill me. And then he grabbed me and he said, I'm going to kill you. And he was thrashing me against the wall. It was like mental as. And eventually He throws me down. We still haven't eaten any chips. That's the worst part. The motelier finally comes in. He uses his own keys and goes, what's going on here? Brian goes, this young man's been insolent. And I said, he just threatened to kill me. And the motelier guy goes out, and within 15 minutes the police have arrived and they're taking Brian away. And there's a few chips and stuff left for Brian's, because he's pigged out most of it, and I gave that to the kids. I gave them the pineapple. I really wanted the pineapple ring, but I gave them the pineapple ring, and I got just a few chips, and the kids ate most of it. That was a really bummer experience, but it gets worse than that. That night, there was 2 bedrooms. There was the main big master bed where Brian and Sandra were going to sleep, and the kids next door. And so she said, you can come and stay in the bed with me. Now, she's like 25 years of age, like 10 years older than me. I'm like 15. We're in bed that night there, and it's kind of like weird, you know. She's a beautiful woman, but just kind of weird. I'm in bed with Brian's woman, and she's like telling me all this weird shit, and her breathing's getting really heavy in the night, and I couldn't sleep. And by the time the morning came around, I was like whacked. I hadn't slept properly, and the motelier comes and knocks on the door, and he's got a policewoman with him. And the policewoman takes the children and Sandra, and I have to go out and get all Brian's stuff and put it in a bag for a policeman and pick that up from the Combie van. I give him all his personal stuff, and don't know what happened with the van at that stage. But then we all have to go to this hospital, Tokanui hospital, and I've got Frosty the Pig Dog, and I still haven't given him any breakfast, and it's really hot, like it's the end of November. It's summer and he's hot. And we're not allowed to take him into the actual place where the doctor is, and I don't want to leave him in the police car because it's too hot. So they say to me, there's a guy called Noel, and he's the caretaker, and you can leave your dog with him and he'll be fine. Well, he wasn't fine. It didn't work out good at all. It worked out fucking pear-shaped. So I haven't even gone in to see Brian yet, because they want to sit me down with Sandra and they want to talk about what's happened and they want to get him committed, basically. But first of all, I've got to go and see this guy Noel. Now, Noel is a real skinny, tall guy with a big wart on the end of his nose, and I'm walking up this path to where he is. It's a little caretaker's place with a shed, and I've got Frosty on a rope, and Noel's there, and this guy, he's like really tall, and I'm looking up at him, and I start talking to him, and he goes, are you looking at the wart on my nose? Which I was, and then I lied and said no. And he said, don't you look at the wart on my nose. And he's got this fucking big wart, and you can't look at it, it's huge, and he's got real narrow eyes, and this big honker with a big bloody wart on the end of it. And I'm trying to like talk to him. I'm saying, don't feed Frosty too much. Just give him like a few bickies if you can, and make sure he's got plenty of water. And he goes, are you looking at that wart on my nose again? I said, no, mate, I'm not looking at the bloody wart in your nose. I'm trying not to look at it because you brought it up, but I'm not looking at it. He goes, stop looking at the wart on my nose. And I said, I'm not. And then, of course, I'm looking at it, and he's like, stop looking at it. And then I go, well, it's hard not to look at it because it's a fucking big wart. And he goes, see, you've been looking at it, haven't you? And I said, well, yeah, I am now. And we got this confrontation going, and I didn't feel good about leaving Frosty with him. And I said, look, forget about me. Frosty wouldn't give a rat's ass if you got 20 warts on your nose. He's a good dog. You look after him, keep him out of the sun, give him some water, give him some tucker, and I'll pick him up when I come back. Great. Off I go, feeling good, not good about leaving him with this guy, Noel, with a big water on his nose, and go down the path, and the policewoman is waiting for me outside, and she leads me into this room. And when I go in there, Brian is sitting in a chair, Sandra's in a corner, the kids aren't there, the police have taken the children away, and Brian's sitting there. And just imagine for a minute that I've got hair. There was a time I didn't have hair. Brian's sitting there, he's got a comb out, his hair's all wet, and he's going like this with a comb. And he's got a face like this. And then he's doing this. And he's doing it again. And then he's going like this. And it's like really, really crazy to watch. He's lost the plot, He's like completely lost it. Psychiatrist starts asking these questions. Brian, why do you think you're here today? And Brian's like, because I'm the Prince of Ireland and it hasn't been recognised. No, says the psychiatrist. What do you think might have happened that could have put you in this situation? Brian's like, it was the fish and chips, wasn't it? I didn't share the fish and chips. And the psychiatrist is like, Well, that could be a part of it. What about the part where you took this young man and you beat him against the wall and threatened him? Brian's like, that never happened like that. So this conversation went on, and they had his records and they knew who he was, and then the psychiatrist pushed a button or something and somebody came in, a big guy, and stood by the door, and the guy at the door looked at Brian and he looked at the doctor and he went like this. Brian couldn't see it because he was standing behind him. He went like this, like 1 minute, and then went back out, and then an even bigger guy came in. So there was 2 big guys by the door, and Brian's like still combing his hair, and there's a tension in the room like you wouldn't believe, like a serious bloody tension. And the psychiatrist gets me to sign a paper and Sandra to sign a paper, and he says, Brian, you're going to be staying with us for a wee while. And as soon as he said that, he like flies to bits and he throws his comb and goes, I'm not fucking staying here. And as soon as he does that, these 2 big guys just walk over and they grab him, and man, did they lock him down. And Brian's a big guy. He's a massive guy, but these guys are big, and they lock him down and he's kicking and sneering and everything. And as he's going out the door, suddenly I hear out the window, and I thought, there's fucking Frosty. And I'm sprinting out down the other end of the yard. Here's Frosty with the cat, the pet cat, the therapeutic cat that they have in this place for people to pet or something. God knows what. I don't even know they had animals in those places. And it's a ginger one, and he's absolutely ragdolling it. And this cat is not looking good. And there's a big fat woman who's also got reach. She's ginger as well. She's the matron, and she's come out with a big broom. She's smacking Frosty, and Frosty couldn't give a fuck. He's like ragdolling this cat, and she's screaming, and everybody's screaming. And then Frosty then lets go when I said, Frosty! And he's like, it's got a great big scratch right across his nose, like a deep one, not a but an open up cut scratch, not a scratch, but an open up cut, blood dripping off the end, and he's got fluff all his mouth of the cat that he's just been ragdolling, and the cat is dead. It's out for the count. And this woman goes to me, she goes, you stay here, grab that dog. And I've got Frosty, I'm holding the dog, and she's, you stay here, you're not going anywhere. And I've got Frosty, I'm holding on, thinking, fuck, now we're in trouble. Frosty's like, he's got the cat's blood, his blood, big rake across his nose. And this big woman grabs my hand, she takes me to this bloody room. It's a room about as big as this room here, and it's got it looks like bars on the window so you can't get out. And she puts me and Frosty in the room, and she locks the bloody door, and we're in there. I was like, fuck, now what's going to happen? And I thought, I know what's going to happen. She's going to get the bloody dog ranger or something. And then the door unlocks again, and it's one of those big guys, and he's coming and he says, hey, look, the dog ranger's coming, bro. He's a big Maori guy. Dog ranger's coming, sorry, but they're going to take the dog. He says, can I get you something to eat? And I was like, no, I don't want anything to eat. And I don't want to take my dog. I want to get out of here. He says, I can't let you out of here, but they said I've got to make sure you need something to eat. So I'm like sitting back, and I said, I'll think on it. I said, yeah, because I know what's going to happen next. I said, I'll think on that. Just leave me for a moment. He says, I'll come back and check on you in a minute. So I'm sitting back in this room thinking, I've got to get out of here. He goes out, locks the door. Frosty's like, he's like, looking at me, what are we going to do, boss? And I'm looking around, I think they've got bars on these windows, and the windows had a thing where you couldn't open the full way. So I got up and looked at that, and that was a Phillips screwdriver. That would be no problem, because I had a Swiss Army pocket knife that had everything on it. It was like a mad one that had everything on it. I thought, well, I could undo those, but I can't go through these bars. And I tapped the bar, and it didn't sound like steel, it sounded like this. Wood. So then I got the file out of the Swiss Army knife, and I filed it. And the paint came off, and it was just wood. Just dowel. I thought, they're fucking fake bars. It's just to make people think they can't get it. So I'm standing on this big long bench seat that you normally wouldn't even get up to. So most people wouldn't even bother looking at them. And I'm standing like that far above the ground on this bench seat, and up there looking at this fake wood. So they're just a deterrent, but they're actually fake. So I think, I'm going to escape out of here. I'm going to get out. Now, there was Sandra who had just come out, and there was a knock on the door. As I was looking at the window, got back down again. It was Sandra with the big guy, and they brought me in a glass of water, and the big guy goes, here's a glass of water, let me know if you're wanting to eat. And I said, can I have some moments of private with Sandra, please? He said, yeah, but you're not going anywhere, and the dog's staying here. They're coming to pick it up, and they want to talk to you. And I said, fine. I said to Sandra, once he'd gone out of the room, I said, I'll see you outside the fish and chip shop. Don't go. I'm going to be there. I'm going to get out of here. Just wait for me. Doesn't matter how long it takes, wait for me. And she was like, okay. She went out, and the guy goes, you guys finished? He hadn't heard the conversation because I kept it quiet. And he goes, let me know if you want anything. I said, yep. As soon as he closed the door, I get the wee saw out, and I'm like sawing the bottom bar. And I'm just about through it, and then the door's opening again. And it's back down in the chair, sitting down there, just looking normal. And it's the other big guy. And he says, hey, do you want some lunch? And I said, yeah. He says, what do you want? I said, I want a sandwich, please. He goes, no problem. He said, what sort of sandwich? I said, I want the biggest sandwich you can make, like one of those club ones that's got like some peanut butter maybe, and some sliced tomato, and some beetroot, and some pickled onion. And he said, slow down, we don't have all that stuff. I said, well, just as much as you can to make a big club sandwich, because I want him to take time to make my sandwich. He goes, okay. And he goes out, locks the door. As soon as he's out the door, I'm on the stool, saw. The bottom one's done completely. Then I'm on the top one, which is the hard one to reach. I've got that there, and I'm sawing away there, saw, going through. And I can hear people outside, and I can see a little bit, a wee bit, but the window's only open that far. As soon as I've sawed that there off, it's gone, it's out, down on the ground, and I've got the screwdriver, and I'm undoing the bit that opens the window up. Get that off, my heart's palpitating. I'm really like, I'm going now into overload of, got to make this or break this. Pick up Frosty, get back on the chair, open the window up again, push it wide open, get my head out and look out. The place is all clear, can't see anybody. Put Frosty down, lower him down as far as I can, then drop him and hold the rope. Jump out the window, look up at the window. As soon as I turn around, there's a guy standing with a whole lot of papers. He looks like a real important sort of a guy. A whole lot of papers in a briefcase, and he's trying to bounce it all. And he turns around and looks at me. And he doesn't know that I've just got out of this window. He sees me, and as he sees me, I turn and make it like I'm having a piss. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, sorry, I'm just going to the toilet. He goes, not there. I said, I just needed to pee. He says, there's a public toilet. Now, I knew where the public toilet was. It was right at the very entrance when you come in, because I'd seen it when I'd gone in, and I actually did want to use it. I still hadn't used it. And he says, you can't go there. And I said, well, where's the toilet? He says, I'll show you, come on. And he's grabbing me literally. And he's like, I'm a young kid, and he's like really agitated with me. And I've got Frosty, we're walking up the footpath, and a few people are watching this guy sort of lead me to where the toilet is at the front. None of the two big guys, or the red-haired woman that know that they're holding me for supposedly the dog ranger to come, none of them see me. He leads me up to the toilets and says, and don't in future go in public, use the toilet. I said, sorry, I'm sorry. He disappeared, and I disappeared. I walked straight out the front entrance with Frosty, and as we're walking back towards where I was heading towards the fish and chip shop, which was 3 blocks over, I see, just as we're going there, I see the dog ranger van coming in, the guy, and he's looking at me and looking at the dog, but he doesn't know I'm that person, because I'm just a guy walking his dog. And he keeps on going, and I'm just waiting for him to hit the brakes, but he doesn't. I see him go up the driveway of the Tokanui mental hospital, the main entrance, and I'm now sprinting with Frosty, and Frosty thinks we're chasing something. He's like going down the road 100 mile an hour with his little feet like running, and we're just sprinting back, and I'm like, yeah, we got out of it, we escaped. And I get round the corner finally to the block where the fish and chips are, and just as I'm getting there, I can see the Combie van just leaving. Sandra has just given up on me. So I'm sprinting literally I haven't stopped sprinting, and I'm sprinting, waving out, hey. And just when I think she hasn't seen me, the red lights go on, she stopped. And her head pops out, and she just by pure luck looked in the wing mirrors and seen me running down the road, waving my arms. Get into the van, jump in the back, absolutely exhausted, and we're off to Te Puke. And I told her the whole story. Anyway, Te Puke, that's a story for another day. And I'll keep you guys posted on what happens in Te Puke with Frosty the Pig Dog. Anyway, we escaped Tokanui Mental Hospital. Never to this day found out what happened to Brian O'Leary, but we go from Te Puke, and then we go to Ponsonby in Auckland, then back down to Te Puke. Ponsonby comes first, then back down to, that's the order it goes in, but that's the story for another Bro Check video. Brothers, it's a mad time of the year right now. it's Christmas time, and a lot of family feuds happen at Christmas time, and you see people you don't necessarily want to see, and it can bring up old stuff. You might be in that situation. If you are, remember there's an old Chinese proverb: when we open our mouths, the sea flows out, and we can't take the words back that we say. So if you are with some family members and there's something that's sort of a little bit delicate, or you've been hurt in some way or victimised in some way, choose carefully your words, brothers and sisters, because I know that from my own experience that this time of year, sometimes it can turn pear-shaped if you say things that you wish you hadn't. It's better just to say nothing and smile. That's my advice over Christmas if you are spending it with people. I had a fantastic Christmas. With lots of awesome people, and really had a cracker day. Bless you all. Go steady, and I'll see you in the next Bro Check Club video. And if you know there's a brother out there that's struggling a bit right now, check on him. Okay, we'll see you later. Oh yeah, also let me know if the microphone was any better. I use the microphone, I don't normally. Let me know if the audio is any better. Okay, see ya.